Hello everyone, this is Esther Kane. Welcome back to our YouTube channel at seniorsafetyadvice.com. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm seeing all around me. It's senior children caring for their senior parents, or maybe I should say elderly parents, 'cause by that time they're much, much older. So many of my friends, I'm 66, so I'm in the retirement age group. Many of my friends are in my age group or older, and they are still continuing to care for their elderly parents. I mean, people are living so much longer these days. With the advances in medicine, it's just making it possible for people to live healthier longer. But the problem then becomes that even though they're living longer and healthier, they still need some things taken care of. And some may not be as healthy as others. So then the burden of caring for them often falls on their children, which is one thing if the children are in their 30s or 40s and in that typical sandwich generation that we all have heard about. But this is now happening with children who are themselves already retired and possibly dealing with their own health issues. So I wanted to talk about some of the problems that are associated in this situation, with this situation, and then some solutions that could be, hopefully, that can help if you find yourself in this position. So health and physical strain, physical health is definitely an issue that occurs. I've seen it 1,000 times, not only with the family members of my patients as an occupational therapist, but also with my family and friends. A lot of, as I said, a lot of senior children are facing their own health issues, be it a chronic illness like cardiac issues, complications from diabetes or so forth. And then oftentimes they postpone their own medical care, just to take care of their parent, which of course only makes their own health care even worse. So in addition to that, the physical demands of caring for an older person, an older parent, can also be extremely demanding. Caring for older adults is very similar, and I don't mean it in a demeaning way, but it's very similar to caring for young children, except the difference is that these older adults are much bigger. So it's where it might be easy to lift a child that has fallen from the floor, it's not so easy to lift an older person that has fallen from onto the floor. So anything as far as lifting or assisting with mobility, walking, getting up from the chair, or sitting down, it can definitely be very strenuous, difficult on your body, emotionally, of course, but can cause additional issues, especially if you're already suffering from issues like arthritis or bulging discs or, joint pain or, in your shoulders or anywhere. There is study after study showing the increased health risks that caregivers of elderly parents suffer from, only because of the physical, the emotional demands that are placed on that person. They end up with a series of increased rates of chronic conditions, mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and then just the risk of injury itself, in helping the older adults also increases the health risk and compounds any issues that they end up dealing with for the rest of their lives. A very good friend of mine took care of her elderly mother until she passed, and then immediately after that took care of her elderly father for years. And it was extremely stressful, not only physically, but emotionally. And just a few months after he passed away, then she ended up with, dealing with cancer and other health issues. And that is she's still dealing with to this day after years and years of caring, after years that after her father has passed away. So it's not something that occurs in a vacuum or in a small period of time. not taking care of yourself as a caregiver only leads to your children then having to take care of you if you have children. So you want to maintain your health, your independence, your safety as much as possible. The oxygen mask literally goes on you first. Um, Another issue that isn't often discussed is sleep deprivation, fatigue coming from that. Another friend of mine is dealing with her mother who just moved into a nursing home, and the other night, the mother called my friend 11 times during the night. Of course, my friend did not get much sleep that night at all, but that is part of what's happening as far as caregiving. I know my own sister would get many calls during the night from my mother who was, not feeling well, not feeling well. She had to run to the hospital, and all it was anxiety, which makes sense. But the bottom line is that it didn't need to be that way. If she had taken anxiety medication, she wouldn't have any or as many of those episodes, giving my sister the respite care help that she needed to sleep and take care of her own physical health. So there are just so many issues when it comes to caring for your senior parent. And my sister was a senior at the time as well. The other issue besides physical is the emotional and the psychological impact that comes along with caring for an older parent, no matter what age, but even more so if you yourself are, in the older age bracket. The stress and anxiety that comes from caring for someone is enormous. I mean, the responsibility of caregiving, I don't care if you're caregiving for a 2-year-old or a 102-year-old, there's still a lot of stress and anxiety involved. But more so when you yourself are dealing with your own physical health issues or mental health issues. Caregivers are often talk about how they just feel completely overwhelmed by the constant demands and the emotional toll that caring for an elderly parent gives. And many elderly parents don't realize the strain that they're putting their own children through. And the ones that do realize that are really basically just abusing their children and abusing their health. I have a friend whose mother is definitely doing that. So that is when you have to set boundaries. You have got to set boundaries with anyone that you're caregiving. I mean, children you cannot, to an extent, but adults you certainly can, as long as they're cognitively aware and able to comprehend that. Burnout. Caregivers are at major risk for burnout, and it doesn't take long. It's not as if you have to be doing it for years and years. You could just be doing it for a few months and you go into complete burnout, which ends up turning into chronic illnesses on your part. So it's so important to, again, care for yourself first and then your patient, your elderly parent. Ambivalence and frustration often arise, especially when there's multiple family members, conflicting expectations about what things should be and how they should be, and the fact that they're not. And it just leads to this incredible family dynamic that is at odds with each other. I have someone that I know whose mother keeps saying, "Why did I even bother having children if they're not going to take care of me?" Meanwhile, the mother is extremely abusive to her children. So it's no wonder that they don't necessarily want to take care of her, but she continues to be abusive to her children, making them feel as if they're just nothing, worthless. But the truth is, they're doing everything they possibly can to care for this woman who, you know, was very difficult as a parent. Not everybody is meant to be a parent. I say that many times, but so that when talk like that is occurring, when family members are talking like that, I mean, all those issues, of course, are going to be revolving in your head and giving you feelings of guilt and emotional distress. So the best thing to do at that point then, of course, is to seek some counseling to help yourself get a grip on the reality of the situation and to be able to help you to see the situation from the outside, because it's so difficult to see how difficult it truly is when you're inside and you're getting all this emotional, bombardment. So you want to try, and the only way you can do that to try to get out of that is to have a third party help you to see what it really looks like from the outside. And even if you have some great friends who are able to do that, listen to them. Listen to what they're telling you, what they're seeing, because that's very, very important to do that. It's difficult, I know. You may think they don't know. They don't know what I'm going through. They don't see what I see. They don't know my family, but they can see things from the outside. And often, just like any relationship, when you see someone in an abusive relationship, you can see it very well from the outside, but the people inside aren't able to see it. There's no difference. Caregivers, of course, you're going to feel resentment. You're going to feel resentment that, here you are at a point in your life when you could be traveling, enjoying your retirement years and so on, but no, you're left now caring for this elderly parent. Chronic illnesses, you have your own chronic illnesses perhaps. Your friends are going out and doing all kinds of things and you're not able to do that. I understand, believe me, I understand. So resentment is a normal reaction to this, which then ends up leading to isolation and depression, because you may not be able to go out with your friends because you can't find someone to stay with your elderly parent and they need someone to stay with them at all times. You may not be able to have people over because the home is filled with all kinds of medications or hospital bed, or I don't know, anything that or you just don't have the energy. You're just so fatigued, you don't have the energy to keep the house clean or to entertain anything. So which all of that ends up leading to even more isolation and depression. But at the same time, in spite of all this, you still have that sense of guilt and responsibility. Here, this person, maybe they weren't a great parent, who knows? But even if they weren't, they still took care of you. They fed you. They gave you clothing, they housed you. I mean, you still have this sense of guilt and responsibility to care. That's normal. Of course, that's normal. You're not made out of stone. You're a person with feelings and empathy and emotions. So, of course, you're going to feel that towards this other person who needs your help. But how do you balance that? How do you balance your life and their life, your health and their health? It's difficult, but we're going to talk about those solutions at the end here. And then it's also depending on the relationship that you have with your elderly parent, witnessing someone like that withering away. It could be that your father was a big, strong, healthy person who always took care of things and took care of the home and took care of the family. And he was, the person that you went to for help in any situation. And here now you're seeing someone who's withered down to 100 pounds and he's not able to do much, is having trouble with the remote control for the TV, isn't comprehending what kind of medication he's on or anything at all. And it's very difficult to see that in someone that you love. That's, of course, that all leads to, and it's part of anticipatory grief, where you're anticipating the grief that you're going to have when this person passes away. You know it's coming. You can see it coming. And that's very normal. So again, I urge you to seek the help of a counselor to help you through this process, and it will make the eventual process of going through grief much easier, and you won't be shoving it under the rug. Shoving it under the rug? Well, whatever the phrase is, just putting it away and thinking about it tomorrow. I call that the Scarlett O'Hara syndrome, where I'll think about it tomorrow. Well, that doesn't really work, because then all of those things that you have to think about pile up onto each other, and before you know it, when tomorrow finally does come, you're overwhelmed with all of these emotions and things to think about. So do it in bits and pieces, and a counselor especially a trauma counselor or a grief counselor can definitely help you through all of those things. The other issue also is navigating this incredibly complex healthcare system that we have, especially here in the United States. There are so many decisions that have to be made, not only with healthcare, with the doctors and therapists and every specialty involved, but also with the insurances and Medicare. Um, I mean, it's really a sad situation that people who are struggling with health have to also struggle with all these other issues. It shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately it is. So I'm not going to get on that soapbox, but it does put a lot of stress and strain on you if you are taking care of that for your elderly parent. And if your elderly parent is dealing with that, it's putting a stress and strain on them. I know my mother was constantly dealing with her insurance company as she was in the midst of dying. I mean, it just is a silly way to run healthcare for seniors, but we are where we are. So financial strain is a huge issue for family members. I read just somewhere recently, let me see. Yeah, I found it. I read, it was on Forbes, adult children providing financial assistance to elderly parents is 55%. 55% of adult children are providing financial assistance to their parents. And it could be anything from paying their internet bills, their cable bills, to insurance, to food, especially now food is so expensive. So all of that is an additional strain. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of adult children will spend more on their elderly parents than they did on their own children the first 17 years of life. So only because the cost of health care for older adults is so much. And the truth is, and I remember this even as an OT, that the majority of money that you spend in your life will be spent in the last 2, 3 years of your life. Because healthcare and cost of paying for someone to care for you is so expensive. I mean, my mother-in-law's last year and a half or so, maybe even a little longer, was at the cost of $26,000 a month because of the assisted living she was living in and the 24-hour care, nursing care that she needed. $26,000 a month is a lot of money. Fortunately, she had that. She didn't, she was very frugal her entire life, so thank goodness for that. But still, there are some expenses that have to be paid for up front before money can be taken out of certain funds or whatever. So it's a lot. Financial strain on families caring for their older adults is enormous. There's the increased cost of everything from not only just medicine, but adaptive equipment, modifying the home to accommodate that person, and then just additional things. Even if they're living with you, you're paying for extra food, you're maybe having to buy specific types of furniture, you have to change your home to make it safer for them. The travel time, if you have to pay somebody to stay with them while you go away, there's a lot of cost that's involved, and that needs to be considered before you automatically take in somebody or consider where to go. That's why I really feel it's the responsibility of the older person to take care as much of this as possible beforehand, to save as much as possible, and to do everything that they can so that their children won't be burdened with all of these issues. Because on top of the emotional stuff, they have having to deal with all of this stuff. And some adult children may actually end up having to quit their jobs just to care for their elderly mother, father, or parents. So there's that loss of income. They may have to apply for Social Security earlier than they normally would. So that means that they're going to be getting a lot less for the rest of their lives than if they were able to work a little bit and save more, and earn more later. The impact also on family dynamics is also large. I saw many arguments between families as an OT, when it came to making decisions on the care of the elderly parent. And this could be everything from where is mom going to go? Where is she going to live? To, I don't want to honor the DNR, the do not resuscitate. I think that they should keep feeding her even though she's in a coma. I mean, I saw all kinds of decisions, poor, good, everything, but the poor decisions are usually made because it's an emotional decision. And it may go against brothers and sisters and sibling and uncles and aunts, and it just causes this huge rift amongst the family where if there is communication beforehand, especially if it's started by the older parent, if they begin that communication saying, this is what I want to happen, and this is what I need for you to happen, and we need to write it down. And that way they know at least that they are honoring that person's wishes. But there's a lot to that. Again, a counselor can certainly help you to guide you through a lot of these issues, and an elder law attorney as well. They have lots of stories about family dynamics and families that have fallen apart because of these issues. So let them tell you their experiences from their expertise on how they can help you to avoid any of these situations. The other family issue is the lack of support. My friend who has the mother who is calling her 11, 12 times, 11 times in the night. That's not every night, but anyway, she has two brothers, and her two brothers are not contributing. I mean, one brother hasn't seen his mother in several months. Another brother lives out of state, and when he does come in, it's, for short periods of time. Of course, he has his own job in life, but that ends up leaving my friend to do 98% of the work. It's extremely stressful and straining on her, and her health is starting to deteriorate after over a year of this mess. She's losing weight. She's not able to sleep. She's not eating properly. She's not able to exercise like she normally did. She's certainly not able to socialize and everything is stressful and strained in her life at this point. So, yeah, sibling support. All I can say about that is don't expect it. It may come, it may not come, but that's when you have to then seek out the help of others to replace that. Now, if the siblings can't help physically, they should at least be able to help monetarily, at the very least. If not, then again, speaking with a counselor, a geriatric care manager, and an elder law attorney, all three of those can help you with the decisions you need to make. So what are the solutions to all of these incredibly difficult issues? And if you are in this position, I am sorry. I know that it's difficult. I went through it with my mother. My poor sister went through it even worse with my mother. And I see so many of my friends going through it as well, friends and neighbors, and just so many people that I meet. As soon as I tell them that I'm working with the senior safety advice and that I do this blog and all of that, I mean, all the stories come pouring out of how they're caring for their elderly mother, their father, and all these issues are happening, and it just seems like everybody is in that position. So what do you do? Well, as I've been saying, the very number one thing that I can tell you is to seek professional help. Go to counselor, especially grief or trauma counselor, because this is trauma. Don't think it's not. It is, and it is grief. Look at consider hiring a geriatric care manager to help you with all of their knowledge base of all the things that you could do in your community as far as caring for your parent. Home health care services, call them up, see what the services they offer, what they cost, what Medicare will pay for, what Medicare would not. If your parents have long-term care insurance, what will that pay for? A lot of people are under the illusion that that pays for everything. saying it does not. So please get your ducks in a row as to what is paid for so that you have an idea of what you may have to kick in monetarily, your siblings, hopefully, if you have any, that can help. And if you don't have siblings, consider reaching out to cousins, aunts, uncles, especially if you're a close family. Um, Seek professional help. It's extremely important. Elder law attorneys, as I said, can also help greatly. They really can help you to talk about getting your ducks in a row. Utilize the community services, and this is where the geriatric care managers can help you, even social workers in your area. They may be able to help you to find adult daycare centers to give you some respite help, local support groups. I urge you to, even if you can't afford a counselor, at least look for a local support group for caregivers. There are many out there. If there aren't any in your area, start one. Believe me, people want them. They need them. They look for them. There's also quite a few of them. I didn't say that correctly. There's also quite a lot of them online, even if it's just on Facebook, but there's also some that you converse with on YouTube. So please seek them out, look for them. There are specialty ones if you're caring for a parent with dementia or Parkinson's or cardiac conditions or diabetes. There are specialty ones as well that you can converse with. And the best thing about those groups is that people are going through what you're going through, because believe me, you're not alone. Other people are going through it, and you can learn from them. What have they done? What's worked? What hasn't worked? You can educate them. They can educate you. And it's a wonderful exchange of ideas and support. Believe me, it's extremely good. You want to leverage technology, take advantage of the telehealth services. Many insurance companies, if not all anymore, offer free telehealth services. And the caregiving apps, like CareZone or Lotsa Helping Hands, can help to manage medications and appointments, communicate with other family members that are involved in the caregiving process. Even Alexa devices can help give reminders. If you use the Echo Show with the screen, you can then visually monitor an elderly person's home to see if they're okay, which can help to decrease the amount of stress that you're worried about them. Financial planning and assistance, that's all really great, but it doesn't help you if you're in the midst of it. It doesn't hurt to speak to an accountant or financial advisor to see what you can take advantage of as far as taxes in your state, and what government programs might be available. But financial planning and assistance really needs to be done way beforehand. And honestly, I think it's something that parents should do beforehand, put things in a trust to make it much easier for the children to access if and when needed. Start saving, putting money away, not for college or graduation, but for your own care. For your own care. It's so important to, believe me, your children will be so grateful that you saved that money to help them help you. Self-care for caregivers is extremely important. Do not ignore this. The oxygen mask goes on you first. Take regular breaks, get respite care, seek out volunteers in your area. Maybe there are some student nurses that you can hire, or that you can get to as volunteers. Maybe they need hours for their license. I don't know. Anything that you can do to help give you some breaks. It could be every Wednesday and Saturday night. You take a break from caring for your parent, go to a movie, go out with friends, whatever. Keep with your exercise and make sure that you have enough nutrition. Speak with your own physician about the stress that you're going through. They can help you, because believe me, they're hearing this story from everybody. So they can help you to set up a plan. Maybe you want to talk to a physical therapist or what do they call those people at the gyms, the exercise people? Oh, the word is escaping me, but that they can help you, to establish a plan. You don't have to see them all the time, once a month, once every other month, but at least you have a plan where you know what to do. Walk a mile every day, do certain calisthenics or strengthening exercises, anything to help you. Take advantage of the huge number of apps and um, podcasts that are out there, all for meditation and sleep, and they can help you spend 10-15 minutes away from the chaos of what's happening so that you can just get back into your peace of mind. Take advantage of that. There's so many of them that are free, and they can help to support your mental health. And don't forget books. I use a lot of self-help books, as I call them, my counselor on the shelf. And they are so wonderful. I can pick one up at any time and I can read certain passages or chapters, and it can give me uh, a sense of relief, a memory, anything that can help me to feel better about that. I did that a lot when I was caring for my mother, who was not always very nice. She never was always very nice. So it was difficult to live with her and to care for her during those last several months. But I did that, and that helped me a lot. Certain books, at the time I did it on Kindle because I had to move down to stay with her for those several months, so I couldn't exactly carry all my books with me. Plus, I didn't know how long I would be there. Anyway, it is definitely useful and helpful. So if people are looking for gifts to give you, ask them to give you books that can help you through this process. There's a lot of wonderful caregiver books. I'll list a few of those down in the video below. Um, as I said before, get your family involved. If you have uncles, aunts, cousins, whomever, ask everyone, ask anyone. Do not be shy about asking. This is a huge job, caring for an older adult. Huge. And unfortunately, it's not considered a job. So you don't get, you know, tax breaks necessarily. At least I don't think so. You don't get paid. You don't get vacation time or health insurance. You don't get any of that. But yet it's a job that is one of the most stressful jobs around. So please take the initiative and ask for help from whomever around you, your clubs, your church, anywhere. Be open about what you need, and people want to help. They just don't exactly know how to help. um, Make sure to keep in touch with your parents' doctors. Keep records of everything. I know that that is an extremely daunting task. Nowadays, it may be a little easier, especially if your healthcare provider is on a portal. They tend to put all their records on that portal, so that does make it easier. But you still want to keep track of the dates of when your elderly parent went to the doctor, maybe what the results were. Just those short little notes can help you to feel a little less stressed about, oh, what was that medicine that the doctor said? Or, what were the results of that blood work? I don't remember. If you have it all written down, it makes it a little easier to follow. And that's a good thing for your own health as well. There are caregiving courses available. Enroll in one of them. A lot of local hospitals offer them. And that's another great place to find support groups. So take advantage of them. They're free, they're available, and as well, they do it for Alzheimer's and dementia as well. If you're caring for someone that is diagnosed with that, that's a whole nother ball of wax there. So seek out those kinds of specialized training. There's nothing wrong with learning all the different ways to set, and don't think your parent is different or they don't understand them. Believe me, believe me, you will learn some wonderful techniques and tasks that you can do with your senior parent, especially with the ones if you're caring for somebody with dementia. A very important issue that I want to tell you for anyone caring for an older adult is to set boundaries, especially if the older adult begins to take advantage of you. You want to set boundaries. You want to set every Wednesday and Saturday night, I will be out. Even if you can't physically go out, you will be, away from them in your own room with your own TV, doing your own thing, or they will be in their room doing their own thing. Anything that you can do to set boundaries and saying, this is what I'm going to be doing, these are my duties, and these are your duties if they're capable in any way, shape, or form. Setting boundaries with your family, with other caregivers that are helping you, that can help to define not only what your responsibilities are and help to alleviate some guilt, but also it can give you a schedule so that you can know what you need to do when you can do it. And then the other final note is sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and bring a loved one, a loved parent, to a different type of housing if they are in your home. Assisted living, nursing home, co-housing solutions. The village movement is a big thing if your parent can manage it. There are so many wonderful different types of housing, and I'll put an article that I did on, I think it's 16 different types of retirement communities and housing for seniors that they can get into depending on their level of need. Obviously, if they need 24-hour medical care, then a nursing home is where they end up going, unless they stay in your house with a nurse coming in, which is pretty much what my mom-in-law kind of did. Anyway, I hope that this information, I know it's a long video, but I hope that this information is very helpful for you. It is such a timely topic. Older adults, caring for older adults. It's so difficult. I can even see it when I go to the store, retirees. I can see they're in their 70s themselves, and they're, walking the store with their 90-plus-year-old mother or father, and they're taking care of them. And it's wonderful to see that intergenerational type of families. It's wonderful. But you can see the strain and stress on that caregiver as well. I don't, you can see that in them. It's just, it just reminds me so much of the families that I used to help with my patients when I was an occupational therapist. It's difficult. It's a difficult time. It's the hardest job you'll probably ever have to do. And seek the help that you need to get through it, because you can get through it. There will be an end. There is an end to this tunnel. So take care of yourself. Take care of those around you. And I will see you next time. I want to thank you so much. I forgot, I think, click on the subscribe button. I always forget to do that, but we're so grateful for each and every single one of our subscribers. So thank you if you are a subscriber, and thank you for clicking on that button if you're a brand new one. All right, I will see you next time.